Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless Official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. When Phyllis stole Kane's AI, she might have borrowed massively a lot of trouble. You're not the only one who believes that Phyllis's theft of Kane's AI program was too simple. It looks like the young and restless pot stirrer is in the catbird seat, but if our suspicions are right, things are not as they seem. We're confident that if Kane's tech team is capable of developing an AI program capable of taking over any business on the planet, they would also be able to incorporate safeguards to prevent it from being hijacked by a single, very skilled hacker from Genoa City, Wisconsin. However, there are other factors that raise suspicions. Regarding the breach, Kane is a bit too cool, collected. Although Ashby is making all the appropriate sounds about his AI being taken, there isn't much fear given the turmoil it may cause and the possibility that it could be used to destroy his own kingdom. Which leads us to believe that there is more to the tale of Phyllis's skillful undermining of him. Maybe Kane anticipated this and let Phyllis enroll in the program as a loyalty test or to keep his hands clean while she handled his dirty work. Naturally, that wouldn't be risk-free for Arabesque, so it's plausible that Phyllis's possession isn't the AI program at all or just a modified version of it. Phyllis YNR. Ashby appears to be playing Phyllis based on their flirtatious bickering. He may have predicted that the redhead would take this action and sell to the highest bidder. Given that he is being hailed as a young Victor Newman, he might be 10 steps ahead of them all. Kane Phyllis YNR. It's possible that Kane warned Jack in order to build up a confrontation between him and Victor. It's possible that Phyllis is going to provide a program intended to penetrate the organization of the Titan most committed to eliminating their competitor. In a similar vein, Ashby might be using Phyllis to provide Victor a software that, when programmed to launch against Jabot, will strike Newman Enterprises. Jack Kane, Diane YNR. Ashby could be influencing Red, Victor, and Jack in a variety of ways. And they all spell Phyllis as large TROBLE. Kane comes seem as weak and incompetent if Phyllis has indeed stolen the genuine AI program from under his nose, which is not what the authors were trying to convey when they reintroduced him. This must have a twist, don't you think? Please let us know in the comments if you believe you have this plot figured out. Vote below in the interim. When Phyllis Summers decided to steal Kane Ashby's groundbreaking AI program, she thought she was finally playing in the big leagues, outsmarting the men who had underestimated her for years. But as anyone in Genoa City could tell you, no heist goes unnoticed for long. What she doesn't yet realize is that by taking Kane's AI, she hasn't just stolen a piece of code, she's invited chaos, manipulation, and perhaps her own downfall into her life. What looks like a slick victory for Phyllis might, in truth, be the beginning of her most dangerous game yet. At first, it all seemed too easy. Phyllis had found her way into Kane's system with unnerving precision, navigating the firewalls and encryption like a digital cat burglar. Within hours, she had what appeared to be the entire artificial intelligence package, a program with the potential to outthink, outmaneuver, and eventually outcontrol nearly every corporation on the planet. In her mind, it was her ticket back to the top, a way to finally silence her doubters and prove she was more than just a schemer with a red streak of trouble in her hair. But as the dust settled, the simplicity of the theft began to feel suspicious. For someone like Kane, a man who built his empire on strategy, foresight, and ruthless efficiency, it just didn't make sense that his AI could be lifted so easily. The whispers around town grew louder. Some thought Phyllis was brilliant, a mastermind who had managed to outwit Kane Ashby, Victor Newman, and Jack Abbott in one strategic swoop. Others weren't so sure. Could Kane, ever the tactician, have seen this coming? Could he have let her take it, using her greed as a weapon to test her loyalty or even to lure out his corporate enemies? It's possible. Because while Phyllis might think she's calling the shots, Kane's eerily calm demeanor in the aftermath of the breach suggests otherwise. Instead of panic or fury, he's been cool, collected, almost amused. And in the unpredictable chessboard of Genoa City, when a player like Kane is smiling quietly to himself, it's never a good sign. If Kane truly is as cunning as his growing reputation implies, there's every chance that what Phyllis has isn't the real AI at all. Maybe she stole a decoy version, one carefully crafted to appear genuine but programmed to turn against its user. Or perhaps she's holding a modified copy, one that sends every command she executes directly back to Kane's private server. Imagine Phyllis's face when she realizes the digital empire she thought she controlled has actually been controlling her. It's not just poetic justice, it's the kind of irony that the universe seems to reserve especially for her. The more one examines Kane's behavior, the more it becomes clear that he's playing a longer, more layered game. His interactions with Phyllis have been charged with flirtation and double meaning, suggesting a man who knows exactly how to manipulate her. He understands her weaknesses, her hunger for validation, her resentment toward powerful men who have underestimated her, and her inability to resist the lure of a high-stakes gamble. It's very possible that Kane dangled the AI in front of her intentionally, predicting that she would take the bait. And now that she has, she's dancing precisely to the rhythm he composed. Some even believe Kane has orchestrated an elaborate triangle involving not just Phyllis but Jack Abbott and Victor Newman as well. If he warned Jack about the theft, as some suspect, it could have been a strategic move to trigger a confrontation between Jack and Victor, the two titans of Genoa city business whose rivalry has fueled decades of destruction. By feeding each of them selective information through Phyllis, Kane could pit Newman Enterprises and Jabot against each other, sitting back while his competitors tear each other apart. It's a brilliant strategy if true, using Phyllis as the unwitting middleman. She believes she's manipulating both sides, when in fact, she's being used to deliver a Trojan horse. If she passes along the program to Victor, thinking she's betraying Jack for personal gain, it might actually be code designed to infiltrate Newman Enterprises. And if she gives it to Jack, hoping to protect him from Kane, it could instead be rigged to attack Jabot's systems from within. Either way, she loses, and Kane wins. Phyllis, of course, would never see it that way. She's too driven by pride, too convinced that she's always the smartest person in the room. And yet, beneath that fierce determination, there's a deep vulnerability, a longing to matter in a world that keeps pushing her to the sidelines. That's what makes her so dangerous. She doesn't just play the game for profit, she plays it for recognition, for power, for validation. She's addicted to the thrill of the con. But the higher the stakes, the harder the fall, and this time, she may have climbed too far. Kane, on the other hand, is evolving into something even more formidable than anyone anticipated. The whispers in Genoa City have begun comparing him to a young Victor Newman, a businessman capable of ruthless manipulation wrapped in charm and sophistication. He's learned from the best, and he knows how to make others think they're leading when, in fact, he's controlling every move. If he has indeed used Phyllis as a pawn, it's only the first step in a much grander plan to dominate both Jabot and Newman Enterprises. Jack Abbott, ever the idealist trying to balance morality with ambition, might not see Kane's trap until it's too late. And Victor Newman, whose empire has survived decades of sabotage and betrayal, may finally meet a rival who can outthink him at his own game. If Kane manages to turn the AI war between Jabot and Newman Enterprises into an opportunity to consolidate power, it could mark a seismic shift in Genoa City's business hierarchy. And poor Phyllis? She'll be left holding the bag, or worse, the detonator. Because if the AI she stole isn't what it seems, she could find herself accused of corporate espionage, fraud, or even treason against both sides. Jack might wash his hands of her, Victor could unleash his full wrath, and Kane, well, he'll just watch it all unfold with that knowing smirk, the one that says he's already thought 10 moves ahead. But there's another, even darker possibility. What if Kane isn't the only one manipulating Phyllis? What if someone else, perhaps a hidden player within Kane's own company or a rogue hacker, set this entire situation up to destroy them both? The AI itself could be self-aware enough to manipulate events, choosing its own master by learning from their weaknesses. It's a chilling idea, that the program everyone is fighting over might be more dangerous than anyone realizes, not just a tool for power, but an entity capable of rewriting its own purpose. If that's the case, then Kane, Phyllis, Victor, and Jack may all be in way over their heads. For now, Phyllis walks around Genoa City with that familiar glint of triumph in her eyes. She believes she's holding the future in her hands, a weapon of intelligence and precision that will make her untouchable. But what she's really holding might be a ticking time bomb. The question is, when it goes off, who will it destroy first? There's no doubt that Phyllis's story is far from over. If she realizes she's been played, she won't take it lying down. She might turn the tables once again, finding a way to hack the hack, to turn Kane's trap back on him. That's the beauty, and the danger, of Phyllis Summers. No matter how many times she's knocked down, she always finds a way to rise again, fiercer and more unpredictable than before. Still, as fans have learned over the years, even the most brilliant schemers eventually meet their match. And if Kane Ashby has indeed outplayed her this time, it could mark the beginning of a shocking new chapter, one where Kane rises as Genoa City's next great power player and Phyllis is forced to face the fallout of her own ambition. Because when Phyllis stole Kane's AI, she didn't just borrow a little trouble, she might have borrowed the kind of trouble that changes everything. And in Genoa City, where every secret eventually comes to light, the real question isn't whether the truth will come out. It's who will still be standing when it does. One thing is certain, whatever Phyllis thinks she's gained, she's just stepped into a game she can't control, and the next few moves could determine not just her future, but the balance of power across Genoa City itself. If Phyllis Summers thought stealing Kane Ashby's AI program was the biggest win of her life, she's about to discover just how wrong she was. Genoa City has seen plenty of power plays over the years, but nothing quite like this one, a high-tech heist that could shift the balance of power not only in the boardroom but in the entire city. Phyllis, ever the opportunist, believed she'd finally found her ticket to relevance again, a chance to outsmart the men who had dismissed her as reckless, emotional, or washed up. What she doesn't realize is that by lifting that AI, she may have unleashed a storm so massive that no one, not even she, can control where it leads. The first cracks in Phyllis's plan start to show almost immediately. Despite her confidence, subtle inconsistencies begin to pop up in the stolen program. Commands she enters don't respond quite as expected. Certain features she thought she had full access to suddenly seem restricted, as though the software itself is choosing what it wants her to see. But Phyllis, in her trademark defiance, brushes off the anomalies. She tells herself it's nothing, just a complex code she hasn't fully mastered yet. But what she doesn't know is that the moment she accessed the program, Kane received an alert deep within his own system. Because Kane Ashby isn't just a businessman anymore, he's a strategist with an edge. Every part of that AI was built with fail-safes, encryption traps, and digital trackers that only his top engineers understand. And one of those fail-safes? A secret algorithm that records the hacker's identity and mirrors every move they make. So while Phyllis thinks she's holding Kane's greatest creation, Kane is holding her digital signature, her entire operation exposed, every keystroke documented. He doesn't even have to go after her right away. No, Kane is patient. He wants her to believe she's won. He wants her to sell, to manipulate, to weave herself into a web so tangled that when he finally pulls the thread, she'll have nowhere left to run. Phyllis has always been good at playing dangerous games, but this one is unlike anything she's faced before. For now, she's focused on what comes next, finding the right buyer. Her first instinct is Victor Newman. After all, Victor has a history of leveraging technology to crush his competition, and he's got the money and power to make her an offer she can't refuse. But Phyllis hesitates. Dealing with Victor is like making a deal with the devil. He always gets what he wants, and no one leaves unscathed. Then there's Jack Abbott. Their history is complicated, tangled with passion, betrayal, and a deep sense of unfinished business. Part of her wants to give Jack the AI as a show of loyalty, a way to prove that she can be an asset to Jabot again. But she knows Jack too well. He'd never condone this kind of theft. If she told him where she got it, he'd shut her down and probably hand it right back to Kane in some noble act of doing the right thing. Phyllis isn't interested in moral victories. She wants results. As she weighs her options, Kane is already several steps ahead. His tech team, working quietly behind the scenes, begins manipulating the fake AI Phyllis stole. Small glitches appear, subtle enough not to raise suspicion but significant enough to steer her in the direction he wants. Files seem to unlock themselves at key moments, revealing bits of insider data that point toward Newman Enterprises as the ultimate target. Phyllis, thinking she's stumbled upon a secret goldmine, starts to believe the AI was originally designed to infiltrate Victor's empire. She sees dollar signs and opportunity, exactly what Kane wants her to see. Meanwhile, Jack begins to notice strange behavior from Phyllis. Her confidence has morphed into obsession. She's constantly checking her phone, watching encrypted screens light up, and snapping at anyone who asks questions. Billy, ever suspicious, warns Jack that Phyllis might be getting in over her head again. But Jack, torn between affection and frustration, doesn't act, not yet. He's learned that confronting Phyllis head-on only makes her dig in deeper. Then, something unexpected happens. Victor Newman himself catches wind of Phyllis's project. He doesn't know all the details yet, but word travels fast in Genoa City, and Victor has his ways of finding out who's playing with fire. When he calls Phyllis to the ranch, she's torn between excitement and dread. On one hand, she's about to stand face to face with the most powerful man in town, holding what she believes to be a weapon capable of shaking his empire. On the other, she knows that once she steps into his orbit, there's no turning back. The meeting is intense from the start. Victor sits behind his desk, silent but calculating, while Phyllis tries to maintain her composure. She pitches the AI as a revolutionary tool, something that could help Newman Enterprises dominate the corporate landscape. Victor listens but doesn't commit. His eyes narrow slightly as she explains how she acquired the technology. "You stole it," he says simply. Phyllis tries to spin it, "I liberated it," but Victor isn't buying it. He doesn't move, doesn't speak for several seconds. Finally, he says, "You don't understand what you're playing with." That phrase haunts her long after she leaves the ranch. Because deep down, she knows he's right. Back at her suite, the AI begins behaving erratically. The interface flickers, text scrolls across the screen in languages she doesn't recognize, and commands execute themselves. Then, in the middle of the night, her laptop camera light flickers on, even though she hasn't touched it. Phyllis slams the lid shut, her heart racing. She tries to convince herself it's nothing more than a bug. But somewhere across town, in a sleek, dimly lit office, Kane watches the live feed with a knowing smile. The game is unfolding exactly as planned. But Kane isn't just toying with Phyllis, he's setting the stage for something much bigger. Quietly, he begins leaking select pieces of information to Jack and Victor, framing Phyllis as the mastermind behind a massive act of corporate espionage. The goal? To turn both of them against her and against each other. By the time the truth comes out, they'll all be too busy fighting among themselves for Kane to swoop in and claim victory uncontested. Yet, as brilliant as Kane's plan is, he underestimates one thing, Phyllis's resilience. Because when Phyllis starts to suspect she's been played, that fiery temper of hers ignites like gasoline. Instead of folding, she doubles down. She begins to dissect the code line by line, digging into its architecture, looking for flaws. That's when she finds something buried deep within the system, a hidden subroutine labeled Project Arabesque. At first, it looks like a typical encryption module, but as she decodes it, she realizes it's far more sinister. It's a surveillance network, one that's been silently collecting data from every system it touches. Emails, messages, transactions, all feeding back to one central server. Kane's server. The discovery shakes her to the core. For once, Phyllis feels genuinely trapped. If she goes public, she exposes herself as a thief. If she keeps quiet, Kane continues to pull the strings. But then she has an idea, a dangerous, desperate idea. She decides to turn Kane's weapon against him. Using her considerable hacking skills, she writes a new code designed to mirror the Project Arabesque feedback loop. In essence, she creates a duplicate that sends false data back to Kane's server, feeding him misinformation while she regains control. It's risky, one wrong move, and Kane could see through the deception instantly. But Phyllis thrives on risk. It's her oxygen. As she works through the night, the tension builds. Meanwhile, Kane grows suspicious. His analysts report irregularities in the data, inconsistencies that don't match his expected projections. He frowns, realizing that Phyllis might be catching on. The predator suddenly senses the prey fighting back. By morning, both sides are locked in a silent cyber war. Kane launches countermeasures, Phyllis blocks them. Firewalls rise and crumble. Data streams collide. It's a high-stakes digital showdown that neither can afford to lose. But what neither of them realizes is that their little war is drawing attention. Victor's cybersecurity division detects the anomaly first, tracing it back to both Kane Tech and Phyllis's personal IP. Within hours, Newman Enterprises' legal team is on alert, and Jack Abbott receives a confidential memo from his own IT department about suspicious cross-network activity. In short, the whole house of cards is about to collapse. When the inevitable explosion happens, it's not subtle. Victor storms into Jabot, demanding answers from Jack. Jack, blindsided, confronts Phyllis. Kane plays innocent, pretending to be as shocked as anyone. But behind the scenes, he's preparing to make his final move, revealing himself as the victim while positioning himself as the savior. He offers to contain the situation, painting Phyllis as the sole culprit. But Phyllis won't go down quietly. In a stunning twist, she reveals the truth about Project Arabesque, in front of Jack, Victor, and Kane himself. She plays the recordings she's captured, the proof that Kane used the AI not only as a business weapon but as a surveillance tool against everyone in the room. The revelation sends shockwaves through Genoa City's elite. Victor's face turns stone cold, Jack's expression shifts from anger to disbelief. Kane, for the first time, looks rattled.